Hello, welcome back to our show today. I'm so excited to have Kiran Grover with us today. We are going to talk about the future of homeopathy. Welcome, Kiran. I'm going to let you tell a little bit about yourself, and then I'll introduce myself to your listeners.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Hello, everyone. I am Kiran Grover. I am a homeopath based in the UK. I've got a global online clinic. I've been in practice now 17 years, which always makes me feel old when I say that. But also, I'm very honoured as well that I've been in practice for so long. I'm a third generation homeopath, which means my grandfather was a homeopath, my great uncle as well, and my mother's a practicing homeopath too. And I have a great passion for homeopathy. I always love chatting with Melissa. We've known each other for a number of years now, and we've got lots of kind of shared passions and views and everything else. And it's great to join you, Melissa, today and have a conversation with you.
Yes, I agree so much. I also just always love talking to you and getting to just have these great conversations about homeopathy because I'm also passionate about homeopathy. So my story, and you know what I always also really love is you're a third generation homeopath. You have family members doing this, and I just love that so much. So I'm a first generation homeopath. So nobody, in my family has ever been a homeopath, and I was the first, so I'm kind of leading that way. But
The
in my family,
pioneer.
that's right. And it was kind of weird in the beginning because homeopathy has not been big in the US like it is in the UK, right? So when I started studying homeopathy and became a homeopath, my family was like, "What are you doing?" But now they all see and they're all on board and they love it, and they ask me questions and they use it, so I'm so thankful. But I've been in practice for a little over 20 years, and I went online in 2018. So I started my online clinic in 2018. Before that, I was meeting people in coffee shops and libraries and or having people come to my house. I didn't have an office, and so went virtual in 2018, and then COVID came, and I was
Game
already
changer.
set up. I
Yeah,
was already set up online, so it was
yeah.
just beautiful. People were like, they didn't know how to use Zoom. I was like, I know how to use Zoom. I can teach you because I had already been doing it. So I love this topic that we're gonna talk about today, just the future of homeopathy and what homeopathy looks like in the US versus the UK. So many of you know in the US, it's just starting to get big since COVID. Um, most people, and a lot of people still haven't heard of homeopathy over here. But most people just heard about it for the first time after COVID. They started searching for alternatives to the natural or to the mainstream medicine, the mainstream healthcare system. And so I love it. I am super excited to see how it's just blowing up in the United States. But I went to a UK based college for homeopathy. So CHE, that was actually my second time going through college. I first went through with Dr. Murphy, Dr. Robin Murphy, and I found CHE through Dr. Murphy, but um, it was really cool to study with people in London, because you guys have a whole different perspective, and you all also are much more free over there to say things and do things with homeopathy that we're not allowed to over here because of Big Pharma. Tell me about what it feels like over there.
Well, yeah, just to take a step back, actually, Melissa, because you've made lots of brilliant and beautiful points. Homeopathy, actually, I think going back a couple of generations, was very popular in the US, and it almost got, not quite, but almost got shut down. In the UK, it's not been quite so brutal. And homeopathy has flourished, but we definitely get every now and again, whether it's Big Pharma or something else, we have to also be careful or we're vulnerable. I don't like to get too involved in that kind of I'm going to sound like a hippie already. We're only 10 minutes into the conversation, into that kind of negativity. It's not my vibe. But from a positive point of view, for me, it feels like, well, there's an educational element. And I know you're great and brilliant and really up on education, and also an information giving, a generosity, if you like. This is what homeopathy can do for you. Yes, it's really important. Well, not really important, but it's nice to know the history. It's good to know the names, all that kind of stuff. But actually, what can it do for you? What can it do for your family, your friends, your animals in your life, all that kind of stuff? Its potential, which is so, so important. You're right. It's an absolute growing market all around the world, which is so exciting for all people who are practicing homeopathy now or are patients. We've been thinking about getting into practice. I checked this morning on the internet, and apparently by 2028, the global market, US dollars, I'm not going to say this properly, 1377.9 million. So that's where they expect it to be in just a few years' time. Although it's a German tradition, and 57% of Germans apparently use homeopathy regularly, it's also recognised in Switzerland completely as a form of medicine. 95% of French doctors prescribe it, and the World Health Organization recognise it as the second largest system of medicine in the world. I'm going to take a breath because I think that's a really, really important thing. So homeopathy is popular and is used in the UK, but sorry, in the UK, just like the US. But we have had a few things over the years that I've seen over the past, well, I've been qualified 17 years. Gosh, I studied more than 20 years ago. And like you, I went to CHE, and that's where our paths crossed at the Centre for Homeopathic Education. We have a few things, I think, going our way in the UK that perhaps the US is still catching up with. It's really easy to buy homeopathy here. You can buy it from high street pharmacists. We've got a big chain here called Boots. You can buy it in a large Boots chemist. You can buy it in smaller chemists. You can buy it in health food stores. And we also have our brilliant homeopathic pharmacies, many of them based in London, Helios, Ainsworth, Neal's Yard, Nelson's, all names that I'm sure many of your listeners will recognise. So it's really easy to get your hands on homeopathy. What they have done, though, which was a bit sneaky, a few years ago, I like to think of the tissue salts as often a gateway into homeopathy. So the tissue salts are very easy to use. They're the 12 Schussler salts are often referred to as well. You can combine them nicely to treat lots of kind of general issues that you might have in the home, yourself, your kids, etc. Common colds, period pains, all that type of stuff. They used to sell, there used to be a company called New Era, and they used to sell, honestly, everywhere, Melissa, in all the local pharmacies and stuff like that. Combination remedies, they were called, combination tissue salts. So A would be for, I don't know, I can't think of what A would have been for, but B would have been for bruises, C would have been for coughs and colds, etc. And so it's an A to Z, or an A to Z, as you guys would say, of different kind of common ailments and tissue salt combinations. So you could literally walk into your pharmacy, know very little about homeopathy, and go, right, that's a natural remedy for coughs and colds. I'm going to buy that instead. They got rid of it. They got rid of it a few years ago, and it was one of the things that I grew up with. So it's one of the things I like to empower my patients with, but I have to give that information. So that goes back to that point I was making about information giving and educating. So we do also have to be careful within the UK, but we do have these wonderful pharmacies. We also have some wonderful teaching schools. So you mentioned the Centre for Homeopathic Education. Like you, I'm a big fan. I went there. I teach. I'm one of their occasional lecturers, but obviously there are others as well. The School of Homeopathy, etc. And many of them are based in the UK. Well, they're all based in the UK ones, but they've again got a global reach now, which means that people like you can be in a different time zone, can still get access that education. And British education has always had, for many centuries, had a reputation of being fantastic. And the level of education I think that we get here homeopathically is phenomenal, and we are incredibly lucky. And it's so nice now in this new market, global market, that we can, reach people all around the world. Also, just one other thing, and then I shall definitely pause for breath. Finding a homeopath, I think, is quite straightforward here. So obviously you can go to a homeopathic doctor at one of those homeopathic hospitals that I mentioned. I mentioned the pharmacies, the hospitals as well. So I should have said that too. We've got homeopathic hospitals. They were created before the inception of our National Health Service. So they've been around pre-1949. We don't have as many as we used to. We have less. And again, that's been to do with kind of pressure on government, etc., possibly from Big Pharma, who can say. But we do still have those homeopathic hospitals. So people can access for free on our NHS, a homeopathic doctor. It's quite hard to get hold of one these days, but they are out there. Or they can access homeopaths like me, or you as well, because we are in that global market. It's easy to find a great homeopath. I always recommend to anyone looking for a homeopath, look for a registered homeopath, either with the Society of Homeopaths, obviously in the UK, or the Alliance, because you know that they're trained fully, that they're insured. They sign up to a code of ethics. You've got Nash over there. I know you're with the Society of Homeopaths. So I think in the UK, although we have to, get into a bit of fisticuffs every now and again, we're doing okay. How about you? How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you for that. You know what? You reminded me that yes, um, years ago, we did have homeopathic hospitals all over the United States. In fact,
Yeah.
we had those, our hospitals were homeopathic before the allopathic, people took over. So yes, you reminded me of that. It was big and then it kind of went away and now it's coming back. I don't know
Yeah.
if we'll have homeopathic hospitals again, but hopefully we will. And to obtain homeopathic medicines, I think is pretty easy here too. So we
Good.
do it, you just have to know where to look. So they used to be before COVID, they used to be in all of the health food stores and the grocery stores would carry, big selections. And they've kind of dwindled down since then. Well, and I'm not blaming it on COVID. I'm just saying like the time frame lined
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And
No, it does. It marks something in the sand, doesn't it, COVID?
it had a lot, it's got a lot to do with the FDA. So the FDA is doing a lot over here and changing their guidelines on homeopathy. So that's why some of them have been pulled from the shelves, our eye drops. So but I think it's pretty easy to get remedies because we can order from, my favorite is Ainsworth's and Helios. Those are my two favorite places to order, and that's where I always order from. We do have US based pharmacies like OHM, and there may be other US based pharmacies, but that's the main one that I know of. And then we have stores that sell lots of homeopathic remedies that you can just order online if you don't live in that state. So I have no trouble getting remedies. I'm very, very thankful. And then also that we have a service here called Full Script. And as a Full Script practitioner, I can pass my full discount of 30% off of all supplements and homeopathic remedies onto my clients, and I do that. So so you can purchase homeopathic remedies through an account through me and get 30% discount, which is great. They just don't have everything that you need, but they have a lot.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, obtaining remedies I think is just fine, even though you locally, here's what I teach in my classes is be ready, have a kit. You need to have a kit on hand, right? So for those acute situations, and because then you're going to probably need to order anything else that you don't have. And because the local stores, you can't run to the store anymore and just find what you need. Sometimes you
Mm.
can, but it's a little bit more difficult over the last few years. And
Mm.
then as far as practitioners, man, they're growing. We have just so many more. I'm in a large, very large Facebook group for moms who like natural health care. And I was the only homeopath in there for many years. And now there are several of us. And it's just growing. It's just growing and growing. How many people are becoming homeopaths? I mean, I have 4 associates that work under me, take cases under my supervision, and and one of them went through CHE, just graduated, and the other 3 are going through Dr. Murphy's program. So it's just so fun to watch it grow and see, how what's going on with it. And then where homeopathy is going in the US, again, I think it's growing. The FDA is trying to restrict some things, but we're really fighting that. I think just like you said in the UK, sometimes you have to stand up and fight things, and that's okay.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, we just need to remind them that
That's what we call it over here.
the government works for me. I don't
Yeah.
I don't so work for you. So we just have to remind them that we are, we're a free country. So what else did you talk about? What else did I miss something with the US?
I think you know what,
Integrate?
I'm glad you mentioned the C word. I'm glad you mentioned COVID, because I think COVID really changed everything. Like you, I've had an online clinic, but it was like my main clinic, Central London, online clinic for people who'd maybe moved away from London or even outside of the UK. It was there as an add-on. And when COVID struck, and obviously all around the world, we all went into lockdowns, etc. I don't need to remind anyone of that. I decided to just email out all my clients and say, look, the physical clinic is closed, absolutely. But the online, I've got, I wasn't as advanced as you, Melissa. I had a Skype account. I've got a Skype account. If anyone wants to use it, let me know, and we'll meet up that way. Absolutely everyone, down to a lady called Janet, who was then 82, said yes please, and I could carry on seeing my patients, and that was fantastic. And then I quickly moved to Zoom, because I found that Zoom was just more fit for purpose for what I wanted to do. There's more flexibility there. And like you, I had a kind of, oh, you've not used Zoom before, that's okay. I'll email you a step-by-step guide, which was really simple, how to install Zoom, because obviously for many people, it's the first time they're using anything like that. And it really helped me grow my clinic and reach that global audience. And that's one of the things in my one-to-one practitioners program that I teach, how to put things in place so that you and your client both have a professional and pleasant experience in terms of consultation. So I say the olden days, pre-COVID, in my clinic, I had a lovely, well, she's still a lovely lady, a lovely receptionist called Carol. Carol would greet people, she would sign them in, she'd move their patient appointments, she'd take the telephone, she'd take payments, she would advise. Wonderful, wonderful lady. When we went into that COVID situation, it was me doing absolutely everything. Because all of us were working from home or on furlough or whatever was happening in people's lives. So now, like you, again, I've got associate homeopaths and I've got an assistant, and it makes the world of difference. It's almost providing what you had in a physical space online, so that the client feels completely looked after and knows what to do, and everything's quite straightforward for them. But yeah, in the one-to-one program, so one of the things that we look at actually is organizing ourselves and planning and using all these systems, because there's so many systems out there. And obviously one wants to spend one's clinic money wisely, but at the same time also have things that are fit for purpose and helps everyone. So, one of the things we look at, well, what kind of systems do you need, whether it's like a booking system or a payment system, an accountancy system, and guiding people through that to help them create these global online clinics, which means they could be sitting in America, the UK, India, France. It doesn't matter where they are or where their clients are. Indeed, they can access great homeopathic care, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? Helping the client and the homeopath get together, have that conversation, and then have a prescription from it. And I'm so pleased to hear that you can access homeopathy easily also in the States as well. And you're right, Helios and Ainsworth, they will post internationally, but there seems to be, whenever I get a client in like a new far-flung place in the globe, and I go onto somewhere like Homeopathy Friends or something like that, and I talk to colleagues. They go, "Oh yeah, no, I know a pharmacy out there," and then before you know it, you're linked up. My dog wants to come in. Just bear with me. This is my come on then. Come on. She likes to do this. It's UK time 3 o'clock, and this is her time to go, hello, I'm awake and I want to say hello. So hello, Penny. Yes, sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, no worries. So, okay, so I want to because I think I know the answer to this, but I want our listeners to know the answer. When you're talking about your one-to-one program, you teach homeopaths how to have an online or how to do the business side of the clinic, right? Yeah, and that's what you do, right? You
And the
teach
reason why I
homeopaths.
do that, so there are lots of great homeopaths out there who teach, and that's fantastic. And they'll teach you about remedies and how to, and you do that, teach people how to use remedies, teach them about ailments, what they can do, whether it's a small acute. I say small acute. If you've got a child with a fever at 3 in the morning, it does not feel small. We've been there as parents. We know what it's like, but also equally through to more chronic things or treating menopause, etc. So there's a lot of people, well, there are some good people out there like you, like Hilary Dorian, who teach these types of things, and they're very, very useful. And they're not just useful, they're empowering people to be able to take responsibility for their own health and those of their loved ones as well. Because that's the thing, when you feel powerless at 3 in the morning because your child has a high fever, or you're running to the toilet or whatever it is, to know that you can do something is really important. What I have supervised students, as you know, for over a decade, and one of the places I've seen people fall down, so they've spent energy and time and money training in homeopathy, but one place that a lot of people seem to fall down is building a practice. And that's why I set up the one-to-one program. There are other people who are teaching that, and it's very important. I'm very glad that other people are teaching it. But the difference in my program is it's one-to-one. So it's very much fit for purpose for that individual. Everyone's circumstances are different, and what everyone wants is different as well. Mine was working from home and having a dog was really important to me, but you talk to another practitioner, that wouldn't even be on their agenda. So the one-to-one program is module led, and we look at everything from finances, making sure they're healthy or helping them to become healthy, pricing, boundaries, systems, all these different things. And we do it absolutely a bit like a homeopathic prescription, individualized and bespoke to that individual person.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so I have a group coaching program for natural healthcare practitioners. So not homeopaths, but so your chiropractors, your body workers, your osteopaths, your lactation consultants, anybody, health coaches, wellness coaches, nutritionists or nutrition coaches. And so what I teach in a group setting is how to incorporate homeopathy into their practice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I was thankful that you brought up your one-to-one. You teach homeopaths, and I teach the other people. Because you know what? I want
And you,
people.
sorry to interrupt, Melissa, you teach them about homeopathy. So an osteopath who maybe, or acupuncturist who wants to bring homeopathy into their practice. Is that
That's
right?
right. That's right. I teach them about
Brilliant.
homeopathy, but I also teach them systems and case taking and case management. So some of the questions that I get, I mean, I have pediatricians and nurses and natural, health coaches in there. Some of the questions I get is, like, okay, well, so when this woman is texting me several times a day, what do I do? Of course, I
Yeah.
have experience with that. So, I teach some boundaries, and here's how you
Yeah.
set up your boundaries and you thrive. So, anyway, we're both serving the global natural healthcare community, right?
Yeah, and
And
no, and I found actually, Melissa, although in the past I've been marketing the one-to-one program to homeopaths, actually, well, at the moment, the majority of the people on the current cohort are homeopaths, but there are a few non-homeopaths who got in touch and said, look, actually, I'm an osteopath or whatever it is. is this applicable? Can I apply for this? It's like, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I want to look at for next year, is just to kind of say, you know what, as healthcare practitioners, this is going to be useful for many different types of people, because the type of people, I think that the type of people who go into any kind of caring profession, whether it's a GP, a nurse, osteopath, homeopath, etc., they go generally into that type of profession because they want to help people,
Yeah,
because they like people, they want to go the extra mile, and it makes them feel good to help someone to feel better themselves. And so for those types of people, and us types of people, boundaries are really, really important, because we're always wanting to go the extra mile, etc. And many people are respectful of that, but sometimes people aren't. And it's not because they're mean or bad people, it's because when people are in pain, when people are suffering, they kind of forget all these other things. We're all like that. If you hurt yourself, you kind of are focused on your cut finger, or whatever it is. So similarly, if someone's got chronic pain, or some kind of health issue, their focus is on that. They kind of forget that Melissa, Kiran, or anybody else has anything else apart from them. And because they want that help immediately. So it really is for us as a professionals to manage those boundaries, so that we can help ourselves, to therefore help our clients,
right.
to their and help all of our clients, this
Yeah.
individual and all the others as well.
Yeah. You know, you and I both have such a heart for homeopathy that that's what I see in this, you know, in these coaching programs that we're doing, that we want to spread. You and I can't see everybody in the world, right? So we want to spread our knowledge and spread this beautiful medicine, so that I would love to see more natural healthcare practitioners, even naturopaths. So naturopaths go through a little bit of education in homeopathy, but then they don't use it all the time like you and I do, and they
Yeah.
kind of forget about it or forget how to do it because they use more herbs and supplements and nutrition. And so even I have naturopaths, you know, that are coming and learning how to incorporate homeopathy into their clinics. So, you know, before I was trying to get them to refer to me, but I'm full. I can't take anymore.
Mm.
So now I want to teach you all how to, you know, how to do this, so that you can keep your clients and I can just be in the background and teach you how to do it. So that's the way, though, Karen, that, you know, back to like our focus of the future of homeopathy, that's how you and I are
Mm.
supporting the future of homeopathy. We are teaching, we're teaching others to go and do it. It's this grassroots effort of,
Yeah.
I can't do it all, you can't do it all, so let's teach more people how to do it so we can
And
have more.
it's also a bit of succession planning. We're not going to be around forever. We're of a similar age group, and I've got to, well, you know, I'm going to be 50 next year. Very, very proud of that. I'm going to be 50 next year, and I do think like my grandfather, my great uncle. I'm going to be in practice. I'm going to be in homeopathy until I die, and they both lived to their mid-80s, so I've got a good sort of 30 odd years ahead of me. But it would be remiss of me not to think about the future of homeopathy, and that includes good quality practitioners. So, one, empowering the patient or the prospective patient and helping them to treat themselves with minor ailments and stuff within themselves and their families, but also to helping to engage those future homeopaths. So, yes, I do the one-to-one program, and that's to help people set up or grow their own businesses, their own practices. They are businesses. But two, also, I take on every now and again an associate or two, usually people that I've trained through the Centre for Homeopathic Education. So we have a strong connection, a similar ethos in the way that we practice homeopathy. Because I think the future of homeopathy is very much growing. You know, I mentioned that figure earlier, that, you know, in dollars, but actually just in terms of a market as well, there is so much scope for, I think, again, people saw with COVID, it was a real learning point for the globe, how sometimes medicine, well, I don't want to discredit medicine, but anyhow, homeopathy can offer a non-invasive, no side effect, safe way of treatment that people can actually access. And it doesn't have to be terribly expensive. and it can help to manage a wide range of problems. And that was, I think, really eye-opening for a lot of people, because people suddenly started to value their health and realize that, that old saying, I think it was Gandhi, your health is your wealth. With your health, you can do anything. If you don't have your health, it's very hard to do even simple tasks. And people have started to recognize that investing in their health, which, yes, can mean treatment, which can cost money, but also can mean time about learning about stuff, but also taking time to exercise, to look at their lifestyle, how they're working, the way that they're working, and also that I'm going to use the word food, but I'm wrong. It's not food. It's about their nourishment as well, because food can be an incredibly healing thing. And you talked about supplements, and I'm a huge fan of supplements, and we've used them in our family since I can remember. I've been having supplements of different things, but actually that basic thing of good, nourishing food. There is, rightly so, more talk about ultra processed or even processed foods, and that's important. I'm a big believer in home cooked food. I don't have more hours than anyone else in the day, and I work full time. I've got kids, got husband, dog, cat, everyone to look after, older mother, etc. But I will prioritize Sunday morning. I cook for 2 to 3 hours and I batch stuff up and I put it in my freezer so that when I'm doing my late night clinics, we can pull something out of the freezer. I've taught my kids to cook and also to recognize when you've got good quality food. My background is in food and farming. So when I've worked in food and farming, one of the key things I learned was in one generation, we have lost about 75% of the nutritional content of our food. So even if you're having those kind of sacred 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, you may not be getting enough, which is why supplements can be incredibly important. Growing your own food can be really important when you can, and it can be as simple as, if you're living in an apartment or a flat, even having fresh herbs on your windowsill is a really, really good start. And using tissue salts, you mentioned the tissue salts earlier. There are lots of ways that we can help ourselves, but that takes, I won't even say a commitment, because that makes it sound like people are not committed. It takes a reprioritization. Actually, if I can prioritize writing this, report or whatever for my office, I can definitely prioritize my health, just like you prioritize your kids. So yeah, I think the future of homeopathy is really, really exciting. And as part of that, as you say, part of that kind of bigger picture of natural health and natural treatments and natural medication. And what do you think, Melissa?
I love it. I love that, the other one of the big things that I love about homeopathy is that it can work, that because it works with your body, it can work with any other healing modality that you like. So if you like supplements and herbs and vitamins and essential oils, and it can work along with those things. And food, and I teach this often, is yes, food is real food, good food, well sourced, seasonal, local food is really the biggest key. And then homeopathy
Mm.
comes along and enhances that, because we have to put in good things. We can't, and I say this often, you can't eat McDonald's every day and expect homeopathy to fix your gut health and all the things that happen,
Yeah,
right? So it's just, homeopathy is not a magic pill. I know there's a movie or a show, a movie that's called Magic Pills, but it's not a magic pill. You
yeah.
have to, I believe, you have to be, like you said, um prioritize good health. So eating good food takes it takes some knowledge. So I always encourage people, baby steps. Don't try to go out and learn everything in one week and then try to incorporate and implement everything that you learn. But also it takes some planning. So if you're going to eat good, you have to go shopping. You have to
Mhm.
go to the grocery store, and then you're going to cook the food, and you can involve your family in that process, and you should. And I love freezer things and food, preparation for the week for us busy moms and busy
You've
people in
frozen,
general.
Melissa. I don't know if you can hear me or not, so I'm going to carry on with food because I love talking about food and I can talk about it all day long. But I was just going to say you're right about empowering others as Oh yeah, I don't know
I'm
where it
back.
stopped. So I just started talking about my children and cookery, but by all,
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know where I froze either, but I know that the recording continued and whatever you were saying just kept going, so that's good. It'll
so I
it'll
finished
be
the
there.
sentence.
Yes, you can. Yes.
So I was just saying about food. You're right to empower others as well. So my children are now teenagers, so they both know how to cook basic food. And on Thursdays when I work late, they're in charge of the cooking. My
Yes.
husband always does more of the weekend stuff because he's got a little bit more time then. And one of them really enjoyed cooking so much she went and did a cookery course through her school. So I think you're right, and to eat seasonally and to eat locally can actually also be more affordable as well. Because sometimes people go, oh, it's going to cost me so much money. We don't have that kind of money. It's like, no, you know what? Here in the UK, it's autumn time at the moment, so we've got plenty of things like the brassicas, kale. Then we've got root vegetables like carrots coming into season, all these lovely apples and pears, all that type of stuff. Eat with the seasons. You
Right.
get more nutrition. You get it at the right time of the year. I honestly
That's right.
believe that actually you get the right foods the right time of the year, depending on where you live.
That's right.
And it's probably going to be the same, if not less, than actually trying to buy, strawberries in December or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
anyhow, you were talking, so I'll let you
Yeah.
get back
Oh,
to
I don't remember what I was saying, but yes, just I think you said it beautifully, and that when we raise our children this way, um and we model good and natural health, then they will most likely, if even if they kind of walk away from it in their teen years, often they do. They say, I'm going to go do my own thing and my mom doesn't know everything, and then but they come back to it. So my daughter is currently in college to become a health and or a nutrition coach. I'm so
oh,
excited.
fabulous.
So excited,
Yeah, that's
like this
wonderful,
is
Melissa.
what I've always dreamed, is that my
Yeah,
children would follow, in the footsteps. And so that's wonderful. Maybe one of my children will be a homeopath one day, but I think the future
yeah.
of homeopathy is bright.
You're right though, because my mother obviously brought us up, in a very kind of natural and homeopathic way. So my brother's not a homeopath, but he's got a kit at home. He knows, he's got a cold, he'll take some Ferrum-Phos. His wife is completely clued up with it. Their pet cats have their homeopathy. He cooks some scratch a few times a week and makes extras because they've both got very demanding jobs. So he'll cook on the Monday and that will be enough for the Tuesday, etc., etc. Because my mother instilled it in us. And I like what you said. You're right. When I went to university, I did that. I thought, oh God, all this stuff that she's told, my brain was like full of it. And I think I took, I was off the wagon or whatever it was. I don't know which way it is with the wagon. But for about a year, my health was appalling for that year. I cannot tell you how much I suffered. And in by the end of that holiday, I just thought to myself, yeah, my mum was right. And slowly
Yeah.
but surely, so when I went back to university the next year, I was like, right, every week I'm going to go to the local supermarket. I'm going to buy, fruit, vegetables, wholemeal bread, etc., to make sure that I'm eating properly. Because actually, yeah, that
Yeah.
junk food diet didn't work really very well for
Right.
me.
You
Ditching the
know,
homeopathy for penicillin, not a good idea.
And this is where I think it's okay to allow children to go and do their own thing for a little bit. Let them see, because most of the time, most of us have to walk through and see for ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Most of us
We
just
all
have
learn
to,
through
yeah,
experience.
learn through
And
experience. So just
and
let them
and,
go. Don't
and
stress out. Don't don't force it. Don't, because you
Yeah.
know what I always said is if I hold it too tight and be too dogmatic about what they eat, then they're gonna not be able to wait to get out from under my thumb so they
Mm,
can go and go wild. And I don't
yeah.
want that either. So
Yeah.
just teach them, let them experiment, and then I'm going to be here, when they get finished with their little experimentation, and I'll be here to help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, little things along the way when my kids have been ill over the years, and I'd give them some nuts, vomica, or whatever they needed. I would tell them why. I'm giving you nuts vomica because you've got this problem and that problem. And then later on I'll say to them, do you remember why I'm giving you nuts vomica? And they'll be like, oh yeah. So that they're starting to learn a bit about the remedies. And
That's
then
right.
as they progress, as they choose to, I've got one going to university next year. I'm going to buy her a homeopathic kit, whether she shoves it under her bed or whether she uses it. Only
Mhm.
time will tell. But as you say, we're there to kind of guide them, and it's a long-term thing, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it's better, rather than being forced to do something, to choose to do something is a way to then make that commitment for the rest of
that's
your life.
right. And our children are the future of homeopathy.
Mm.
So those of you listening, watching right now that are raising your children using homeopathy, keep going. You're doing a great job. Don't give up when it gets hard, because there will be hard times, but just keep going, and your children are going to be healthier because of it. You're going to be healthier because of using homeopathy. And then these children, many of them will grow up and continue to use it, or maybe even become homeopaths.
Yeah, who
So,
knows? And
yeah,
also not to feel guilty about stuff. If you do have a bit of junk food or whatever, it's fine, actually.
that's right.
A healthy body should be able to deal with a hamburger or a piece of cake or a glass of wine every now and
That's right.
again. It's when it becomes something that's, part of the daily routine of life, then it can be a little bit overwhelming for the body. But I think to have that flexibility within your health,
I
that,
love it.
80, 90% of the time you're having the good stuff,
Hmm.
you have a bit of time off and eat some whatever, some Hershey's Kisses, whatever it is you get over there. Well, it's not the end of the world, is it?
That's right. That's right. I love to teach that too, and encourage people with that. That, the worry over your health can be just as detrimental as eating terrible
Definitely.
food.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I absolutely agree.
yeah.
We've always been quite relaxed on the weekends. So the
Mhm.
weekends is, I mean, having said that, I was going to say we usually have pizza, but my husband, I'm very lucky, he makes pizza at home. So
Good.
that kind of thing. The kids like to bake, but if we're out and about, we eat out. That I think that's absolutely fine. It's the craving of it. You're right, because with homeopathy, as we know, and I'm sure many of your listeners know, it's a holistic form of medicine, which means it's about the physical, but also the mental and emotional. And I don't think that kind of craving or feeling guilty or anything like that is going to be good for your health.
Right.
Just let it pass you by, move on.
That's right. I love it. Karen, it has been so nice to talk to you about the future of homeopathy. I'm excited. I'm excited about the
It's
future
a
of
very
homeopathy.
exciting time.
It
It's
is.
really, really exciting time to be a homeopath, an exciting time to see homeopathy growing so much all around the world. And we get to be part of it. And so do your listeners as well, which is fantastic. So, yeah, absolutely. Go out there, give your kids the good stuff, have the good stuff. When, on the odd occasion, you don't, you don't. It's not the end of the world. Maybe take a nuts vomica and move on.
I love it. Yes, I agree. Karen, what is your website? How can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with my website, which is healthy homeopathy, written as one word, .co.uk. And if they're practitioners, they can get in touch about the one-to-one program if they want to. If they're prospective clients, they want to know more about homeopathy or working with me, just visit the website. I love hearing from people, and it will be a pleasure if anyone wants to get in touch. And Melissa, do
Wonderful.
you want to, because I'm going to be sharing your details too, so please feel free to give your details for my listeners as well.
Yes, thank you. So my website is melissacrenshaw.com, and that's CRENSHAW. So just my first and last name. And I have, yeah, my coaching programs are on there. My layperson classes, I teach a ton of classes on there, and then I do individual consults on there too. But that's how you can find all my social media stuff. I do a lot of reels and give away, do a lot of free information because I want people to know about and love homeopathy. And it's just been such a pleasure to connect with you today, Kieran. And I'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Yeah, me too. Thanks very much, Melissa. Great to
Thank
talk to you.
you.
Take care,
Thank you.
lovely.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.